So we will first start with some opening remarks from first the hosting institutions, and then have some also some welcome notes from the So first, I welcome LIDISKI. So a few words on behalf of Sierra.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So, dear partners and dear colleagues, my name is LIDISKI. I am at the head of the unit research ASTR. It's a unit research on animal health, and this for ASTR means, because it seems to be real world, it means animals have their territories, risks, and ecosystems. And this mixed unit research from Sierra and INRAE is deeply involved in integrate, intersectorial, and interdisciplinary approach, and is focusing on the improvement of animal and human health, taking into account the health of ecosystems, the environment, the territories, and global change. On behalf of Sierra, I am very pleased to welcome you here in Montpellier and also online for the annual LIDISKI meeting. Thank you for your presence, colleagues from NPRI and ICORE from Nigeria, our colleague from Italy, from IZSVE, from ILRI and from Sierra. Different Sierra unit research are involved in this project, not only ASTRA, but also CELNET and ARDEV. There is also the presence of several actors, field actors, and EU delegates, founder, who could not come, unfortunately, the EU delegation, the CDO from Nigeria, and the National Agricultural Extension and Research License Services, which are directly concerned by the results of the project. The NGOs also and smallholder associations are here or online. LIDISKI years ago, and the goal of this law is to improve livestock disease surveillance and control in Nigeria, focusing on two diseases, Newcastle disease and PPR. And the project aims to boost the livelihoods of smallholders, livestock, and poultry farmers, focusing on few Nigerian states, and the idea is to encourage the scale-up of this pilot study, to increase it and to do it across Nigeria. The main goal is to improve the surveillance and the control of the two diseases, I have already tell you, and it includes socioeconomic topics and also virology and laboratory skills, with a strong inclusion of local communities. And it's the things that is quite important, the impact of this project on the local communities, NGO and farmers. The originality of this project is that it has been co-constructed with all the partners, identifying clearly the impacts and outcomes, and reflects the global strategy launched in terms of co-building approach, integrating the interdisciplinary approach at research level, but also for local communities and field actors. We had around the table the private and public organism, and researcher and policy actor, and is one of our advantage within the project with strength of partnership. So we have now passed 3 years of this project, and we will have 2 years extension, and I'm sure that we will have all this day global overview of the different results and improvement of the project by the end of the day with the definition of action plan. It is quite crucial for the running of the project. I wish you fruitful discussion all around the day. And again, it's a pleasure for me to welcome you on behalf of Sierra, and I hope that you will enjoy the meeting, but also the city for the people that have the chance to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathalie. And please, I would like to welcome Dr. Mariam Mohamed, CEO of NBRI, to give also some few words.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start by thanking CIRAD for the very warm welcome that we have received, both physically and online. Also to acknowledge the project as being one of the very important projects that NBRI has been a part of. In the last 3 years, we have benefited from the LIDISKI program. We have had staff trained in a multidisciplinary way. We have young scientists that now have a very good background of conducting both fieldwork, socioeconomic analysis, being able to do a lot of work that is across board. But most importantly, I think the fact that we have been able to include the communities, go out there, over 200 villages, being able to get data and being able to analyze it. For this, we are very grateful, but because we know that the impact will be felt across our country, and that will bring up the fact that we are pulling people out of poverty. And poverty is a very serious and real issue for us. And livestock holders in Nigeria are mostly smallholders. We do not have a lot of commercial livestock farms. And so pulling people out and supporting them to expand their productivity pulls people out of poverty. And so we have benefited immensely. The collaboration across all of the institutions is also something that we cherish, and we hope that this will continue because we have seen the benefits of this international collaborations and also fostering a public-private partnership with partners like ICORE that have made some very good inroads in training and communicating what the project stands for. In NBRI as well, we have benefited from being able to optimize our vaccine, particularly the PPR and the Newcastle disease vaccine. One of the things that we're waiting for in 2023 is to get IBET come in and help us to further optimize. Our outstation laboratories have also benefited because that has helped us to scale up the distribution of our vaccines down to the rural level. Our 2 outstations in Bauchi and Kano, we have already seen the impact of what this project has done by scaling up the vaccine and making sure it is distributed around the villages where the vaccinations are required. So all around for us, the training of our staff is very important. This is a start for the next generation of scientists. Out of this project, we're getting 2 PhDs and 3 master's degrees. And that means we have improved the skill pool for NBRI to be able to do its job and to meet its mandates. So this is a project that we are very delighted to be a part of, and we hope that this will continue. And once again, thank you to all partners. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, of course, at this stage, hopefully all of you do know the project, but quickly, what is the LIDISKI project? So it's a project where EU supports livestock disease surveillance knowledge integration. So it means to have integrated knowledge collected from the actors in the animal health sector, provide tools and know-how to implement sustainable surveillance and control strategies against livestock diseases. And the actions of the project are built around actually 4 actions. We have, as it's been mentioned by Mariam, a lot of capacity building of animal health actors. We have also a very important part in engaging the communities in surveillance and control. And also, it's very important to understand better the socioeconomic and epidemiological context of those diseases to have better strategies for surveillance and control. And all these efforts are then going towards developing new tools, new guidelines for decision makers, so we can scale up strategies that have been looked at and evaluated during the project across Nigeria, hopefully. So here we will present during this half-day session all the progress in our activities for the project within these 4 actions: capacity building, engaging, understanding, and then the developing of tools.
LIDISKI.
So just quickly the program. So after this welcome notes, we will start first with capacity building, showing the outputs and what we'll do next for the next year. Then all the actions about engaging the communities. Then we'll have a break and then look at all our actions towards understanding the context and then developing new tools. And then we'll have a bit of time, hopefully, to have some feedback and discussions with all the animal health actors that are here or that are online following this presentation. So I will give the floor to all my colleagues that are involved for the capacity building actions. So we'll have a representative from a bit all the 4 partners, so from IZSV, from ICORE, from NPRI, and from CIRAD. So while I change the presentation, you can slowly make your way to the floor. We should be fine. And we will need the
Okay, good morning to everyone. I'm very happy to introduce the first session of the day, which is dedicated to the actions implemented in the framework of capacity building. As you understood, improve our capacity, both in terms of human skills and also material, is the major objective of the LIDISKI project for the control of PPR and Newcastle disease. So the presentation today will be introducing all the actions which have been implemented, both in terms of human skills, so trainings which have been implemented in this reporting period. After that, we will evaluate the impact of the solar panel which were installed in the previous reporting period, and we will then move on speaking about the vaccination strategies. So I invite Alexis maybe for the training activities. Oh, it's the one.
Hello everybody, so I'm going to give you an overview of the training activity that took place in 2022. So we had the trainings organized on biostatistics, which were aimed mainly at training the staff of NVRI and the other partner institutes, including the NARS, which is our partner institute based in Zaria, in Kaduna State, that provide expertise in socioeconomics. So the first objective was to train these people, so about 20 to 30 participants, researchers and students, in the basics of our software. And for that, we used the material which was made available online, teaching material which was made available online on the PRISM platform, which is an e-learning platform developed by CIRAD engineers at CIRAD. Then there was an on-site training organized in April 2022 at NVRI's compound in Bonn, which gathered 19 participants from NVRI and from NAROS, and which was aimed at teaching the theory of biostatistics, including probability distribution, hypothesis testing, statistical models, and so on, and train participants in applying this concept to practical problems we may face in their daily research activities. It was organized in a hybrid format with remote teaching from the CIRAD trainer, but also with the presence of two CIRAD staff present to support participants in their practicals. There was also, following this first training session, there was a remote training organized in November this year, so very recently, which was aimed at applying this method learned in the first training to the data collected in the framework of the LIDISKI research activities. So epidemiological, the epidemiological data that were collected in plateau states. Besides this training in biostatistics, another training was organized on network analysis. This training in network analysis was aimed at improving the knowledge and competence of the staff of NVRI, but also of the Ministry of Agriculture. There were two participants from the Ministry of Agriculture in using the basic method of network analysis and applying it to understanding livestock movement and the risk of disease spread through livestock movement. On top of that, there was a refresher training in the participatory method. So in 2021, there had been an important training session organized at NVRI in Bonn on the use of participatory method for in surveys and at gathering farmers' knowledge and farmers' perceptions. And so a refresher training was organized in May 2022 in order to give an update to the staff involved in the research activities, in the field surveys on the method, and improve their competence and remind them the basis of this different methods, including semi-structured interviews and use of participatory interactive tools. Pardon. So this training gathered 12 participants who are already been trained and 5 new participants. And all these participants then contributed to the new survey, participatory and socioeconomic survey conducted in Bauchi State this year. And finally, there was a refresher training in questionnaire survey using the COBO application, which was also conducted in parallel at NVRI in Bonn on the same period with 5 participants from NVRI and from NAROS. And that's it for me.
Yeah, my name is Benga Ario. So I'll be talking to us about the activities we did with regards to training of the states, Department of Veterinary Services, and then the field actors who are the community animal health workers, and some of the activities we did with the farmers. So early this year, we supported VCN and the State Department to raise a crop of trainers critical to establishing the rural animal health service delivery system. So the key activities that we did was to facilitate the training of the trainers sessions for field vets in Bauchi State, and then build the capacity of Bauchi State and Plateau State government on better supervision and reporting system. So in Bauchi State, 11 veterinarians were trained to become trainers, which this was actually conducted by the Veterinary Council of Nigeria, which is the statutory regulatory body for veterinary services provision in Nigeria. And this actually improved referral system based on the fact that we built the capacity of the Plateau State government and Bauchi State government to actually see the need to supervise the community animal health worker, and also to see the importance of reporting using this medium as a means of reporting for the state in terms of surveillance of disease occurrence in the state. For the community animal health workers training, at Plateau State and Bauchi State, the state trainers that have been trained previously, in my first slide, by VCN, conducted the training of community animal health workers in both states. So earlier this year, we went to the field with in Plateau State with the Plateau State government, the desk officer. We were able to identify that even though we have trained some 40 community animal workers last year, we realized that some have left without doing anything, and we realized about 19 of them. And so we realized that it was possibly due to the selection process. So we engaged with MVRI to see the community animal health workers that they have supported over the years to train, and see how we can do include them in the program so that they will be VCN certified, and then we can do some refresher for them. We were able to recruit 19 of these new community animal workers in Plateau State, and did a revision by the trainers was actually conducted in Plateau State. And then having done that, these people were included with the 21 orders to make it 40. So, and then again, we also went down to Bauchi State to profile some selected community animal health workers to ensure that we went through the right process. They went through the right process, and the criteria were actually set to ensure that the right were actually selected. And then after that, VCN went across the training facilities in Bauchi State to actually inspect those training facilities to ensure that the place were actually right for training for the community animal health workers. And then the trainers in Bauchi State and Plateau State actually did the training, and then examination and certification was conducted after about 2 weeks of training, both in Bauchi State and Plateau State. And training on disease reporting, we actually did that to ensure that they made use of the Kobo Collect to using the Android phone to actually report diseases on a daily basis. And on the long run, we also provided them with phones. The output of these includes the 40 community animal health workers were examined and certified by the Veterinary Council of Nigeria in Plateau State, and 29 community animal health workers were examined and certified by VCN in Bauchi State. 69 kit bags were purchased and distributed across both states for the community animal worker, so that they can have some equipment that they could use on the field to actually provide services for the farmers. And then 4,400 phones were distributed across both states. Now, during the training, we tried as much as possible to train the community animal health workers how to engage with farmers, how to make farmers actually know that this is what we are doing, how to create market for themselves so that they can add value to their life. And one of the steps that we also did was to handhold them in doing activation event and sensitization event in different communities. So and during this period, the community animal health worker, what they do is that they identify market days, to livestock market days, and do their sensitization around that area, or they go house to house, or they aggregate people in a central location in a community, and then they inform farmers about this disease, the PPR and the Newcastle disease, and they inform them about how to identify the disease. They inform them about the clinical science. They inform them about the availability of vaccines to actually prevent the occurrence of these diseases. And the key activities we did here was to facilitate sensitization activities with the community animal health. As I said, we were always handholding them to ensure that they know the process of actually marketing themselves. And then the community animal health CHWs have been supported to engage in educating farmers on identifying PPR and Newcastle disease, and where to find the community animal health workers against vaccines against the disease. So the outputs, all the trained community animal workers are provided veterinary service. They are providing veterinary service across the rural livestock farmers communities across the state. And majorities of farmers are more aware of the various diseases and availability of vaccines against Newcastle disease and PPR. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ismail Shitu from National Veterinary Research Institute. I'll be presenting on the capacity building that's been obtained at MBR reform. In May to June, there was a training on NDV in vivo challenge to be able to assess the capacity of the vaccine that are produced in MBRI. These are the feed activities to know how well they fed. NDV, the production of the challenge virus we have, we're able to assess it against the circulating strain, and this was carried out at AZSV. Also, as part of the capacity that was done at MBRI, we looked at the facilities involving having to have erratic power supply at MBRI as being across the country has been a challenge. So in order to support the power supply at the outstations that we have, we're able to look at the resources that are involved. Introduction of climate smart solution was envisaged to be a possible approach in order to solve the challenges involved in energy shortages across the country. So in the course of the project, we're able to identify 5 outstations in which we have solar panel installed there, and we're able to monitor the impact across these locations. One of the characteristics we looked was the cost benefit of these installed solar panels at some of these locations. So over the years, we looked at the cost prior to those solar panels being installed in those locations vis-a-vis after installation. For Bauchi outstation, we actually look at 2 parameters, the public power supply as well as the generators from this location, because these are alternative power to support before the installation of the panel. In Bauchi outstation, in 2020, the cost incurred in public power supply was 12,000. In 2021, it reduced, and in 2022 increased. This, as you can see, these are estimated billings in these locations, and that is why we had quite a lot of expenses incurred in this location. For generator supply, this involves the cost in running the generator as well as servicing them, and all these over the years have drastically reduced, especially for Yola Lab. For generator supply in 2020 was 4,860. By 2021, when the solar panel was installed, the cost reduced by almost 1/3. And for 2022, it has almost became negligible, because this was monitored as a result of this as a metered supply, and we're able to monitor this over this period of time in question. For the Bauchi and Kaduna, Bauchi and Kano specifically, because these locations have an estimated billing, so the impact of the solar panel was not really assessed, but in terms of their generator, which they have control over, we found out that the initial cost in 2020 was 12,000, and by 2021 and 2022, they didn't incur any expenses on those. Okay, this is the graphical representation of that. As you can see from the Yola Lab, we had like 5,000, and it reduced considerably to negligible amount in 2022. In terms of vaccine sales, this as the installation of the solar panel has actually helped to increase vaccine sale and patronages at these outstations in which the solar panels have been installed. For Bauchi, we'll see that from 2019, where they sold 1,409 in 2019, by 2022, it has increased by almost 7-fold to 8,000, which, and beside that, the states too have started actually buying vaccine in large quantities, and because they know there's a stable power supply in this outstation, so they kind of warehouse those vaccines in this location, because they are sure that the power supply in these locations are more stable now because of the solar panels. That also applies to other locations in where the solar panels were installed. So in summary, the outstations have been, the capacity of them to be able to store the vaccines have been enhanced by this, and then it is known that the power supply has been more reliable and stable over this period, thereby enhancing the cold chain of those vaccines. In also the diagnostic capacity in these areas, they've been receiving a lot of patronages in terms of diagnostic services that the laboratory can render to poultry farmers as well as small ruminant farmers as well. In terms of public power supply, as I've said, there's been some reduction, even though we're still looking at how to remove those 2 labs that are on estimated billing, and by then we'll be able to see more improvement in terms of reduced cost in power supply. The installation of power supply has shown quite a positive impact in these locations, as I've said. Thank you.
Another important action implemented in the framework of capacity building this reporting period has been dedicated to the optimization of the vaccination strategy. So the LIDISKI team has been working for Newcastle disease in order to optimize the current vaccine strategies according to the viruses that are currently circulating in the country. So what we did was to use an integrated approach. We used the data from LIDISKI surveillance to identify the virulent, the velogenic viruses circulating in the country, and use these viruses to see whether the vaccine produced and used at MDRI are effective to control these viruses. So we did an antigenic matching to see how and how much protected the animals are using this kind of vaccine. So based on the results of this antigenic match evaluation, we then organize vaccine trials, in vivo study, which was based on the results of the antigenic characterization, but also on the requirements from the field. So what we did was to use the viruses which were found really far away from the vaccine, so a sort of escaping viruses, to produce also an in-house inactivated vaccine. So just to briefly go through the activity, what has been done has been to create 16 distinct groups of animals which were differently vaccinated. In particular, we had a negative control group and then 5 groups which all receive vaccination, a baseline vaccination with a live I2 vaccine, which is a thermostable one and widely used in the country. And after that, we combined differently this vaccine with other solutions. There was a group 2 receiving just one administration, which is really common in the country. And then 4 groups receiving 2 distinct booster with live vaccine, and 2 groups receiving the in-house prepared inactivated vaccine, which was prepared using the virus homologous to the one which was used for the challenge. And 2 distinct adjuvants were also tested. One, a very traditional one, oil-based, and a second one, which is a gel-based adjuvant, thermostable, and so really efficient maybe in the situation we had to face in the country. So the animals were vaccinated and were challenged after 35 days. And after that, there was sampling in order to evaluate the shedding and also the seroconversion. So the results were very interesting because all the animals survived the challenge when we checked the animals which were vaccinated and then challenged. As you can see, the mortality was 0 for the entire group, for all the groups. But very different were the results for the sentinels, which were the animals put in contact with the vaccinated and challenged viruses. So the animals which were not vaccinated and put in contact with the vaccinated animal got infected in one group, and in particular, the one receiving just 1 dose of the I2 vaccine. So it means that that 1 dose was not able to prevent the shedding and the infection of other animals. This was confirmed by the serological investigation implemented before and after the challenge. As you can see, the titer pre-challenge for the group receiving just 1 inoculum, just 1 vaccine, was very low compared to the one obtained using the homologous vaccines, but even the other boosted groups. So the final messages from this trial is that for sure we need to constantly monitor what is circulating in the country and evaluate how efficient vaccines are against the circulating viruses. In addition, it's clear that one single intervention is not going to protect the animal from the shedding, which is something very important, in particular in the village community. Then it's clear that having a heterologous boosting is maybe increasing the value of protection for the animal. Regarding the use of the inactivated homologous vaccine, this can be not really feasible for a constant administration, but we can think about their use in long life animals, such as breeders. So I close the presentation for this session with just few inputs about what is going to happen in the next future. There will be other trainings implemented. We had a long discussion during the meeting yesterday, and most probably there will be the need to go ahead with spatial mapping, risk analysis, training programs. The provision of secure source of electricity is clearly a priority, and the evaluation of the impact of the solar panel will be continued all over 2023. In terms of improvement of MVRI vaccine, testing is to optimize the manufacturing process, and a visit from IBET is planned for an evaluation really in the situation at MVRI in order to increase the production. And in addition, the dissemination of the results generated through the experimental trials is foreseen for the next future in order to inform people all involved in the vaccination activities about how to implement them for Newcastle disease. Okay, so I thank you all.